So this kind of preparation that you discussed should take place, should be, first of all, as you say, the plans they're already there, but they have to be brushed off and they have to be put into action. And that should be months before any kind of action. And as far as you know,
Yeah,
very
months.
little of that, if anything, was done
Yeah,
in
in
this
fact,
case.
in 2003, we started planning the Iraq War like in earnest, planning the Iraq War, building staffs, doing analyses, moving equipment 10 months before we invaded Iraq. And it was clear what we were going to do because we had the Secretary of State just dashing all around the world to bring allies into line. There was this policy called burden sharing, where we went to every single one of the Arab Gulf countries and got them to pay in advance for the start of the war. None of that happened this month. None of that. And on top of that, President Bush politically in 2003 and very early 2004 crisscrossed the country trying to whip up public support for an attack on Iraq. President Bush hasn't left the White House except to go to Mar-a-Lago or to go
Hmm.
golfing.
Yeah, but his father went to the UN Security Council and got a resolution to authorize
Yes,
under Chapter 7 the first Gulf War. He put together a coalition of about 30 countries, I think.
that's
Um,
right.
and he went to Congress and got a resolution there, and he made speeches across the country, at least two or three major speeches to get public support. He had a reason, at least. Even some of
Yes.
us disagreed with that war, but
You,
there was an
yeah.
invasion of another country. I think that April Gillespie, the American ambassador there, signaled to Saddam that U.S. wouldn't do anything if he invaded. May have been a trap, he was said. That's something we could discuss another time. Then in the second Gulf War, George W. Bush made speeches across the country, told a bunch of lies about WMD, went to the UN Security Council, didn't get a resolution, but invaded anyway, and then went to Congress and did get a resolution and had three countries in this coalition, which was Poland, Australia, and the U.S. And then Europe opposed, as we know, French and Germans on the Security Council did not agree. And this time, none of this has happened. But what did happen, John, is that over the last 30, 40 years, since the revolution in 1979 in Iran, the U.S. has game planned a war of this scale against Iran. And it seems like they came back with the understanding that what would happen if the U.S. invaded Iran is what we're seeing playing out right now. And therefore, no president until this one, despite the pressure from not only Netanyahu, but also Saudi leadership as well, I think, at certain points anyway, to do this, they resisted Israel's pressure, which is not something you often say in the United States government. What happened this time, John? What is different about this president? Why did he do what no president would do before?
I can tell you what the rumor is at the White House. The rumor is that Benjamin Netanyahu told Trump, if you don't do it, I'm going to use nuclear weapons. And that Trump decided to do it to head off an Israeli use of nuclear weapons. Now, with that said, I spoke with a friend of ours, yours and mine, last night over dinner, a friend who knows these issues very deeply. And he said that he was convinced that Trump did it because he wants to normalize the use of nuclear weapons, that he intends to use a nuclear weapon. I know I disagreed, but he was pretty confident in his analysis. I think what happened here, Joe, is that Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, and Pete Hegseth somehow convinced themselves, probably because this was Netanyahu's analytic line, that as soon as the first rocket was fired, the Iranian government would collapse like a house of cards. And that was
Unbelievable.
never going to happen. Never. Look at it this way, too. Iran is the size of the whole of Western Europe. It's surrounded by forbidding mountains on three sides, and it has 92 million people. And you can't overthrow a government like that with 25 or 50,000 troops and two aircraft carriers.
Well, I was shaking my head before, not because I didn't believe that he wants to normalize, but that is he might want to do that. I was out
He
of
very well
disbelief.
could.